Welcome back to Crypto Verdict. I'm the host, Crux, and we're going to actually be going through another game show. This is only our third iteration, so bear with us. We're still in beta, but I hope everybody is doing good today. We have five different contestants that are going to be showing actually their knowledge and being able to answer some of these questions that we have. And it's super simple. Basically, this is how it goes. I make a statement such as, is the 4-year cycle still intact? And then they either agree, they disagree, they strongly agree, or they strongly disagree. And with this, I'm going to make sure it gets into the hot crypto takes and the hot debates. So the people that are strongly geared in any direction, they're going to go at it. So it's very interesting, it's unique, and it's a way for us to be able to spread the wealth across crypto knowledge. So if you are tuning in for the first time, I'm going to bring these 5 contestants up here in a second. And what I want you to do is make sure you subscribe to each and every one of these guys. We are putting our hard-earned time into this, and it's going to be the next part of what I think is going to be massive in the next bull market. So smash that like, hit subscribe on all of us, and let's go ahead and get into it. Rob, if you want to bring us up. All right, we got Crypto Millie, we have Max, we have Shook Focus, we got David, and then we got Blackrue. I hope everybody's doing good today. So a couple different things. If you super chat, it's going to go to the creator themselves. So at the top right, you can see it is a nonprofit. We're not here to make money. We're just here to spread the knowledge of crypto and bring different creators on from all different walks of life. So the best super chat question, we'll save it for the 11th question. And then also whoever wins the final verdict, for example, we have somebody in the back, Rob, Crypto Future. He's going to give it the final verdict of whoever wins this whole thing. So if, let's just say Crypto Millie's just dusting everybody in the debates, Rob's going to come up here. He's going to give the final verdict, and then Crypto Millie gets the last thought before we go ahead and head this thing out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into it. So Cardano will eventually break its all-time high. Millie, what do you think?
I disagree.
All right. Max?
I disagree.
All right. Focus? You might be muted.
Oh, agree.
All right. David?
Strongly disagree.
Strongly disagree. And then Rue, you can make it interesting.
Strongly agree.
There we go. I already knew it was coming. All right. So we got 2 disagrees and agree, and 2 people that just completely can't get along. We have Rue. We have David. David, since you went first on that answer, let's go ahead and get your take. Why do you think Cardano will not break its all-time high ever? So it's not like 2029. It will never break its all-time high again.
Sure. So, I operate in DeFi on just about every chain. And, if you take a look at Cardano native DeFi, it's basically non-existent. Like there is very little liquidity there. So, if I'm working with a private client and that client has, let's say, a large ADA position, and he wants to be able to exit that position or borrow against that position, maybe access some liquidity against that position, you can't do it. You can't do it in Cardano native DeFi. Add to that the fact that Chucky, Charles Hoskinson, he just crashes out every other week, it seems like now. So what I want from a leader for a project or a protocol or a chain is I want that person to be saying, hey, you know what? This chain might not be working extremely well right now. We might not have the liquidity, but this is what I'm doing to fix that problem. And that's not what I hear from Chucky. What I hear from Chucky is, nothing good. So when I take a look at the price action on ADA, dude, isn't it at like 15 cents now? Something like that? Down from that all-time high, 17 cents. Yeah. I mean, what is that? Negative 95% from the all-time highs? Yeah. It's got a lot of work to do just to get back to those old all-time highs, man. I just don't see it, especially with no leadership.
All right, good answer. Rue, what you got?
What's up, David? Compelling argument, brother. So what's the saying? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Charles is always in the room with the right people, the Brad Garlinghouses of the world, the World Economic Forums, even though he says he doesn't like them, Exchange, LCX. They launch a lot of Cardano projects. I think Charles is playing chess while everyone's playing checkers. I think he's doing good. I think he's doing good. The price might not reflect it. Of course, this is a bear market. A lot of cryptos are down in price right now. And I think midnight with its technology, its zero proof technology, will definitely keep Cardano afloat. And one big thing, Tim Draper got like, I think it's 50 million in Cardano, not Cardano company, in tokens, in Cardano and ADA tokens. I don't think he's playing a losing game there. I definitely don't think he is.
David, would you like a 30-second rebuttal?
Sure. So, let's talk about Draper for a second. He's a billionaire, yeah? So that means a $50 million position for him is actually really small. And I mean, dude, I just don't see any leadership out of Chucky. Every time I see Charles Hoskinson recently, I haven't heard anything that inspires confidence. So I'm definitely bullish on, what is it called? Midnight, their privacy coin. I like that. I like that quite a bit. I could see that performing well. But, when I take a look at the DeFi TVL for Cardano, it's like, when I take a look at those protocols, they don't really work very well and there's no liquidity there. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So I'm still a strongly disagree on ADA getting back to those all-time highs.
All right, Rue.
So again, I think it's all about who you know. And Draper, he is a billionaire, but he's also institutions. So DeFi in this case doesn't really matter. I think the institutions are going to come in, pump this thing up, and get it to where it needs to be.
All right, let's go ahead and reset it. Those were some definitely some compelling arguments and some pro arguments, but something that I forgot to mention is we are all about trying to get the community involved. So currently on the Crypto Vault channel, there's an ongoing poll, and we're trying to get you to either agree, disagree, strongly agree, or strongly disagree. And that's the idea, is to get all of our watchers to be able to get their vote. And again, it's on that specific channel. So it's not like if your specific community votes away, it is the one where it's probably going to be the most diverse community in all of crypto, because there's going to be a ton of just different voices. There's no one face, and that's the beautiful thing of this platform. So let's go ahead and I'm actually just go ahead and move on to the second one, and then I'll come back and read the poll for that first one. But the next question is, Bitcoin has already bottomed in this cycle. Crypto Millie, what you got? You might be muted.
I must say I strongly agree here.
Strongly agree. All right, David.
Strongly disagree once more, Crux.
All righty. Shook.
Strongly disagree.
This one's going to be good. All right, Max.
Disagree.
And we got Rue. You muted, Rue?
Thank you. I'll agree.
Agree. All right, so we got a strongly agree and two strongly disagrees. So we got Millie with the strongly agree. Millie, it's going to be tough. You got two different people that are at your neck. You got David, you got Shook. Floor is yours.
Look, I know it's a bear market right now, but you know the term that they say, Crux, delusional bulls eventually wins. And salute to the guys that strongly disagree. Look, this is my thesis. So it's not that I don't think that Bitcoin has bottom. I just feel like even if we chop from here, the 4-year cycle points at the bottom being somewhere between Q4. I'm gonna just say Q4. So, when you look at the historical way that markets perform post midterms, it just makes sense from a political perspective that these guys to finally push a win. Now, don't get me wrong, we got headwinds, right? I mean, we got MicroStrategy. You can look at the bond market. Y'all mentioned the yen carry trade before we went in the stream. But at the end of the day, I just think that we're at the latter stages of that. And cycles work. I believe in historical, data and points of view, and it just points that we find some sort of floor near Q4.
And just to clarify, so 57K, that is the bottom. That's your belief. Okay, let's go to.
No, are you hold on, Crux. You're asking me if 57 bottom is just the bottom. Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, right. 57, the floor is in. Shook and David, let's go Shook first. Why do you think 57K is not the bottom?
I gotta keep preaching that reality is gonna set in. All we hear is shutdowns left and right, hacks left and right. Again, we had BitMEX and Bitmark, and the thing that we're forgetting about, folks in the US, is Mika. Mika is wreaking havoc overseas. I think the number was something around, last time I checked, like 1,200 different crypto orgs shut down through Mika regulations. So along with Clarity, along with all this regulation, there is definitely going to be fallouts, and we got to be ready for that.
All right, David, you want to add anything to that?
Sure. So I strongly disagree with the statement that the bottom is in for this bear market for BTC. I tend to believe in the Bitcoin prophecy. But that's just the halving cycle. I call it the prophecy. Yeah. But, the guy who I follow who has been very, very good at calling that Bitcoin pattern has been Benjamin Cowan, man. And so what he's been saying is in July of the Bitcoin bear market year, the midterm year, in July, you get a rally. And so I see that rally playing out. We got a little bit of a counter trend rally. So I think that since tomorrow is August 1st, would not surprise me to see, Bitcoin roll over in the month of August. But I do think that we're going to see a trough for Bitcoin by the beginning of October. And I think that trough could come in right around those August 2024 lows. That was the Japanese yen unwind, that carry trade unwind back in August of 2024. Those lows come in at like 49K. So, it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoin make a move down towards those lows, especially if that AI trade unwinds a little bit more. So we've got a Bank of Japan rate decision later on this evening. And look, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, but I think that Bitcoin's getting up towards some resistance. I don't think the bottom is in. And I think that the last point that I'll make here, Crux, everyone, is those Bitcoin ETF products that launched in January of 2024, those products had the effect of compressing Bitcoin's volatility. So the vol went from like 70% to 40%. And so with compressing vol, that means you get smaller expected moves. So I think this is going to be the shallowest Bitcoin bear market in history. I don't think the bottom's in yet, though. Q4 for sure.
All right. Since it's 2-on-1 and y'all are jumping my boy, he gets a rebuttal. Nobody else gets one. Let's get it, Millie. What you got?
So I would push back a little against the stock thing, right? We've already seen stocks, AI stocks, kind of like correct a bit, but Bitcoin didn't move. The diminishing perspective that you mentioned works both ways. So yeah, it could be just as diminished as far as the length or how low we may go. So I'm not saying that we're just going to, explode from here. I'm just to the belief that 57 may be the lowest that we go. And even if we chop from here out, I still believe on that in that timeline as far as the 4-year cycle. And not to add, there's also $300 billion in stable coins on the sidelines, just waiting to flow into the market. I know many would say the Clarity Act, but the Clarity Act is like a bonus. It's like a tailwind. So the money is waiting to go into the markets. Many people believe that Bitcoin is this sound money. It never had an opportunity to really prove itself. I would say it's still a risk asset, but I think if you look at the Fed's balance sheet, that's expanding. PMI is above 50 now. That's another point of, okay, we got something working in our favor. So I agree with what you guys are saying, but I just think that lower than 57, I just can't go with that. I'm just going to do.
All right. We spent a lot of time on this one. You guys had some really good points. No, you're good. Let's go ahead and reset this. All right. So let's take it back a little bit real quick to answer number one, since I didn't have the polls up, but Cardano will eventually break its all-time high was the very first question. And at least 80 to 85% of you guys said disagree. So you guys were not able to, I forgot exactly who was preaching on behalf of Cardano. You were not able to win over the community, but let's go ahead and check this next poll of Bitcoin. Has it already bottomed this cycle? And it looks like disagree wins again. So most likely Bitcoin is not bottomed yet. So, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into question number 3. Will Bitcoin reach a new all-time high before the end of 2027? So just to clarify, all-time high 126K. Will we pass through $126,000 by December 31st of 2027? Millie, what you got?
I disagree.
All right, David.
I agree.
All righty, Focus.
Agree.
Max
Agree.
and Rue.
I agree.
All right, y'all are no fun on this one, but it's 3-2. It's pretty split
like,
still. So, yeah, this is clearly the most divided one, but it's the one without conviction. So it's very interesting. I want to hear y'all's take on it. But if you're just now tuning in, the question is, will Bitcoin reach a new all-time high before the end of next year? I want to throw a quick context on this. Now, I'm not here to give my point or anything, but I act kind of as a fact checker because we all love fact checkers. So I try to remain as unbiased as possible. But it takes half as long typically every single cycle to reach a new all-time high. So it took 1 year from the bear market bottom to get back to the bull market peak, or the bull market peak to a new all-time high. So a lot of people think when we bottom out, it should be about 6 months or so, which would be like Q2 of next year. That's a pretty broadly accepted thing. So let's go ahead and push it over to Crypto Millie. Why do you disagree?
I believe that it'll play around near that price. But as far as how the 4-year cycle works, I think the following year is when it really gets kind of exploding post halving. I haven't checked the timeline, but I don't believe that's after post halving. So my answer is tied to that specifically.
All right, David.
I mean, look, I agree with what Millie said. I do. It's just that I do think that the Fed is going to be forced to do some type of big print. And so I think about what's the denominator, right? Like Bitcoin measured in dollars. Well, hey, if that denominator becomes much less valuable because the Fed is forced to step in and intervene and buy treasuries and print, I don't know, man. I want to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to be buying Bitcoin in October of this year. I would love to see it print a fresh all-time high at like 130 by the end of 2027. So that's what I think. I think it's going to do that. I believe in Bitcoin.
Good take, David. Focus, what you got?
Yeah, agreeing. Again, assuming we see that dip before the end of Q2 next year, then we got time to cover some ground. Bitcoin now is not what it was the last time it ran up. It's got a lot more institution ETF movement behind it. Bitcoin can rally in a minute.
All right, Max.
Yeah, I'll make this just short and brief. I think you have to pay attention to, one of you guys got some real bad echo, just giving you a heads up. I think you have to pay attention to some of that historical cycle. Like you guys mentioned, I'm in alignment with what you have shared in your deep dives and your coverage. Crux, same as basically Big Rob. Somebody really needs to hit the
Yeah,
button.
whoever got the sirens on, that'll throw me off in the intro, but no? Okay.
Yeah, I don't have much more to share, really. I look at the historical cycle, and again, maybe bottom by 2026. I'm in alignment with you, Crux, on that one. I think there's something there with that. Anyway.
All right, Rue, why do you agree Bitcoin will reach a new all-time high by the end of next year?
You kind of stole my thunder there, Crux. Yeah, every cycle has moved faster than the other one, right? And for the first time ever, Bitcoin reached an all-time high before the halving this cycle, right? So I think that's the new normal, right? The only thing that holds me back a little bit is like it just barely did it before the halving cycle. So I'm just at agree, but I think the new normal may be that Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high before that.
Yeah, the last bull market, it had the ETFs, which definitely helped push that. They got approved in like January, and then Ethereum got one approved. So that probably had a good play in it. But everybody had a good take here. Let's go ahead and resort to what the audience thinks. Currently, the ongoing poll is 56% agree. That's a close one. So most people do agree that will be Bitcoin reach a new all-time high by 2027. Yes. So not by a lot, but you guys did a really good job on that one. Just real quick, if you're just now tuning in, we all have, we're all here helping each other. And if you can go down and subscribe to each of our channels, we would definitely appreciate that. Also, if you send a super chat, we'll select one of them at the end of the stream, and we'll add that as an 11th question if it is the winning one. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing and supporting us, and let's go ahead and get right back into it. Question number 4, we got the ETF flows. Replace the 4-year cycle by 2029. So let me say that again. The ETF flows replace the 4-year cycle by 2029. Millie, what you got?
Disagree.
All right, David.
I disagree also.
All right, Focus.
Disagree.
Max.
I agree.
And Rue.
I agree.
Yeah, I need to do better on these questions. Look, I tried to get y'all to like get smoked, but this is really good. We're going to get some good takes here. Again, the question is ETF flows replace the 4-year cycle. There's a lot of different reasons the 4-year cycle could be replaced. Every 210,000 blocks, it does this halving event. And then at that point, it's like a year after that halving event, or a year and a half or so, it typically leads to a peak followed by a year-long bear winter. Nobody really understands exactly how this prophetic thing is, as Dave said earlier, but it's a thing. And that's why I think the general consensus of crypto as a whole is October of this year is most likely the bottom from most people. But we got 3 people that disagree, right into the 2 on this side of the screen that both agree. Whoever wants to take the disagree stance first can go ahead and do it. Millie, David, Focus.
Oh, you go ahead, David. You know.
Yeah, so those ETF flows replacing the 4-year cycle. So, I don't even know why there is a cycle. All I know is that there is. And so I don't expect that cycle to go away. Whenever I hear someone say, this time it's going to be different, I think, nah, it's not. So I think that cycle stays in place, man. But there's a problem with that cycle. I think it's probably based off of that halving cycle. And so the halving, that really, really hurts miners. So I just don't see that being replaced by ETF flows. I mean, those ETF flows are sticky. And the guys who are buying up Bitcoin in those ETFs, they don't sell it quickly. So I just don't think that this cycle is going to be replaced by ETF flows. I think that it's going to remain in place. And that means that we get a fresh all-time high, probably like a really nice all-time high in 2029. And then it just repeats again. So I think the cycle continues.
Yeah, let me ask you on that. So we have the diminished losses. We had like we had a 93% pullback way back in like 2013. Then we had a 77% pullback, and then it was 88, 83, 77, and then now a lot of people think 70%. So we pulled back like 55% or so to 57K. But do you think we're going to still have a 50% plus pullback in 2029?
I think that what's happened with those Bitcoin ETF products is that they compress the vol. And I think that paradoxically, those ETF products are likely the reason why we didn't get a parabola on the upside, this bull cycle for Bitcoin. And I think that's also the reason why we won't get true depression on the downside, this bear cycle for Bitcoin. So the next bull, I think the top for the next bull is at 190. That's what I see. And then the drawdown, likely a shallower drawdown, because those Bitcoin flows into those ETF products, they're sticky. And then if this is a big if, but I see BIPs out there where maybe we get covenants and OPCAT, like smart contracts on the Bitcoin layer 1. If we get that, then Bitcoin becomes like a real useful asset with DeFi denominated in Satoshis. I think there would be a shallower drawdown next bear cycle if that happens.
All right, Focus. Is there anything you want to add to that before I go over these two gentlemen?
Similar to what he said, for whatever reason, the cycle seems to remain. We have new players coming in, new liquidity coming in all the time, and they just seem to fit right in for whatever reason. They just fit right in. So until we get something that shows otherwise, I got no reason to change.
All right, and let's clarify with Max and Rue. This time is different. This typically means through 2029. Are you saying like Bitcoin / crypto turns into like gold, like a forever up and right asset class? Or what? Can you go ahead and explain y'all's answer, Max and Rue?
Yeah, I gotta go. I mean, I'll make this brief. the way I look at it, this is just an agree. It's not a strong agree. I kind of go back to a little bit of what David mentioned, but nonetheless, I look at like the institutions, the ETFs, all this flow that's supposed to be supposedly coming in. Well, it's kind of like a compression effect. You have the old halving driven by amplitude and basically a shift. I always talk about this in my community, right? So a shift towards what? Actual capital. Yeah, everything that we've been hoping and dreaming about for a while. So these capital inflows. So by 2029, as you point out, Crux, it could likely be the dominant regime. So that's just my little brief remark on that.
All right, Rue, would you like to add anything to that?
Yes. It was so close to a strong. ETFs are the way that everything gets money, as far as like, look at the S&P 500. When a stock gets put into the S&P 500, it's just up, pretty much up only from that point, right? Now, I know there was like a crypto index recently that excluded Bitcoin and XRP because they don't draw revenue at this point. But I do foresee a future where maybe the Bitcoin ETF and an XRP ETF are in an S&P 500 or some crypto S&P 500, where like stock portfolios can just, somebody's 401k can just flow right into that thing. And I think in that sense, it will hasten the cycle. Like the cycle will still be there. It won't be for years, but it'll be some different time horizon. So it was hard because of those factors for me to say strongly, but I definitely agree that ETFs are the way, and they're definitely going to accelerate those coins.
All right. David earlier talked about July and it being, Ben Cowan talking about how it's typically a red month, especially in a midterm year. But August and September have never been green for Bitcoin in a bear winter or in a midterm year. It's never had a green August or September. So that's a 0 for 6. So if that gives you a little hopium for continuing to DCA for the next 60 days, there you have it. So the more you know. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the fifth question. We're about halfway through this thing. Look, this one's going to be spicy. I think we'll have a couple people that are going to go at it on this one. On-chain revenue is the most important thing when buying a project. Millie, what you got?
I disagree.
All right, David.
Oh man, I strongly disagree on that one.
All right, Focus. You're muted.
Strongly disagree.
All right, Max.
This one is a struggle for me because short term, I would basically disagree. Long term, though, I would agree. So I guess I have to pick one. I'm going to say I agree.
All right. And then Rue.
Strongly disagree.
All right, we got 3 strongly disagrees. We got one person who's teetering agree, so it's probably not going to be as eventful as I thought it'd be. I tried to trip you up, David, but you actually picked adverse. So let me hear your take first, David. I want to hear why.
Yeah, so I mean, look, you need big revenues. So, we've been talking a lot at the Node Network about the trifecta. We came up with this so-called trifecta. And basically what it is you need real users, real user growth. There needs to be product market fit. And those users on that chain or protocol or coin or whatever, they need to drive real revenues. Okay, so you need those first 2 items, but then those revenues, they need to accrue to you, the token holder. So it's not just about the revenues. You really need to see those revenues return back to you. So yeah, if you've got revenues, awesome, love it. But those have to accrue back to you. If they don't, then you're just kind of holding a meme. Like we see so many different coins where the protocol, the coin, whatever, it generates a ton of revenues, a ton of free cash flow. But if that doesn't come back to you, then it's like, hey, where's my money, man? So the revenues are great, but they got to come back to you, the token holder, in some way.
All right, I'm going to go around the room with this question real quick. David, if you want to give your take first, if it's not the most important, then what is the most important for buying a project? If you had to choose one, is it the visionary? Is it the, the tokenomics? if you had to choose one thing for buying a project, what do you think the most important thing is?
So let me start by saying I know what to avoid. And sometimes inversing this stuff is important. And what you want to avoid is, a project where there are no revenues. You want to avoid a project where like the founder is crashing it on YouTube every week. You want to avoid a project where there's no one using it. There's no users. Mm-hmm. So, but what you really want though, is you want a combination of those three, so you want, I'm
not going to be able to break you. I'm just trying to get just one. Boom. You got one. You don't have to give an answer, but.
So if I had to pick one crux, oh man, it would be value accrual, that value accrual mechanism. You could have like very few users, poor product market fit, doesn't drive much revenues, but if the tokenomics are super solid, you might see number go up for the coin. So,
all right, good takes. Millie, that actually surprised me on this one too. What would be your most important thing in terms of buying a crypto project?
Look, revenue matters, man, but like my guy just said, that revenue has to accrue value to the token holders. I think Hype gave like the perfect blueprint, right? You got the revenue, accrues the value, you burn, you create scarcity, kind of like the whole marketing aspect. But just the whole, it eliminates the speculation, right? Because let's be real, we're in a world of hyper gambler-fication. So what I've noticed just being in the Bitensor ecosystem, right? You can have the smartest mind, you can be the crack that tech, but if no one knows about what you're doing, if it's not out there, you have no users, and if you have no users, you have no network effect. So kind of like my guy was saying, you got to have like a blend of those things. But what I've noticed in crypto, the best marketing, and I know it's going to sound crazy, is price go up, green candles.
Yep. All right, Schick Focus, if you had to choose one thing.
I had to choose one thing. If you make me choose one, timing. Timing, I would say, is the most important because there's so many different things that could swing a project. It can be making money, and then all of a sudden, one bad piece of sentiment and you're fried. An example like Axelar caught the cyber attack June 19th, downtrend, straight downtrend ever since. There's so many different things that could swing it. But again, if you're able to get in and make your money before they got to this point where it's like, is there any value in the token anymore? And they got all this bad sentiment, then you're happy. But yeah, it's all about timing.
All right, we're gonna do Rue, and then we'll come right back to you, Max, because you were kind of like agree and disagree. I kind of want to see what your second one would be. But Rue, what would get you to buy a project if you can only choose one thing?
See, that's a tough question because you say just only to use one thing, and it's not just one thing. But for me, I guess it's like partnerships might be the biggest one because, like, let's take Canton, which I like Canton a lot, right? There's so much revenue, on-chain revenue going to Canton, but on the other side of that is they have a lot of great partners, right? So it's like, okay, tokenomics, like you can't just pick one thing. But for me, I guess it would be partners, but tokenomics are important too. We all know that Canton has the burn and all of that. So for me, I'll say partners.
All right. And
partners and tokenomics. I can't just choose one, sorry.
I mean, this is definitely the toughest question. And then Max.
Yeah. Sure. I guess since I'm forced to pick one, rightfully so, I will go with capturing the value, like value transfer. Guys, we know basically years ago, especially with Ethereum, 2021 going into 2022's bear market, technically speaking, that was one of the slowest networks at the time, right? The gas is a lot different now, and rightfully so. So when I talk about capturing value, you have one of the slowest tech stacks out there that still did a great job of capturing value. Sure, extremely slow, extremely expensive, but it captured that value. And with that also said, the settlement. So while that's very, very expensive, what did we see reflective in that? We did see significant upside in the price. In fact, we saw 2021 all-time highs at that particular point. We've seen other ones that are pretty close to that, to say the least. But I do have to agree. This is where I'm kind of split. I do agree with Millie's statements. I do agree with David's statements. And that is basically when we talk about these fees, the revenue model and whatnot, well, that right there is the clear signal of what? Real product, market fit. So again, value capture. I go back to that. And there's still a lot of other factors that count. Again, back to what Rue was stating, I do put a lot of emphasis on partners. Again, like I know some of you guys aren't fans of Ripple, but I look at like, yeah, Ripple with XRP, it may not have the fastest blockchain out there, but they definitely have the partners. So all those factors, that's why I feel the way I feel.
Yeah, pulled the XRP out of this one. I didn't want to see any black eyes. So I think that one would have caused too many fighting with some XRP. But I will say, if Elon Musk created an ice cream parlor, I would invest in it. That being said, I think visionaries are the number one thing to invest in. But it's not about what I think. It's about what the polls think. So looking at 75% of you would actually agree that that fee revenue or that on-chain revenue is the most important thing when buying a project. So that one surprised me. 3 out of 4 of you. So definitely good takes. It is halftime. So that means you guys need to go down and subscribe to each and every one of us. We are definitely here delivering the alpha, and make sure you share it out with somebody and hit that like button. All right, let's move on to question number 6. This one's interesting. Talking about Elon Musk. Will Elon Musk return to crypto like he did in 2021? Millie, what you got?
I agree. He'll do some soft shields.
Yeah. Soft shields 2021. He was ESG FUD. I lost 700K in 3 weeks. Trust me, I know. David, what you got?
Oh, strongly agree. Oh, yeah.
Strongly agree. Okay. Should focus.
Strongly agree.
All right. We got something going. What you got, Max?
I strongly 1000% agree.
All right. Last but not least, Rue.
Strongly agree.
All right. There's only one person that agreed. Everybody else thinks Elon Musk, he is back. So just to give a little clarification, last bull market, he went and he did the whole Doge thing. He didn't really even mention crypto. A little bit, maybe he did, but we're talking 2020 into 2021. Tesla's buying Bitcoin, Dogecoin's becoming a thing, 75 bill market cap for some weird meme coin. So it's very interesting to see Elon Musk take over this past weekend. He actually stated that Dogecoin is the best fundamentally sound most fundamentally sound currency, which just shocked me. Like, it didn't make sense to me. It is a meme token. It's a slow layer 1, but the richest person in the world said that. So that has some merit. Like I said, I would invest into an ice cream parlor, but let's go ahead and let's hear from these strongly agree people. Why do y'all also think that that Elon Musk will return to crypto in this bull market?
Well, like you said, he holds Bitcoin with Tesla. So, he's not opposed to crypto at all. So got to believe he randomly just tweets about some random meme coin like, Doge, the other Doge, the Doge meme coin, and then it just shoots up like crazy. Yeah, Elon will be back.
Who else? Anybody else got any other takes?
We going in order?
Well, just whoever.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I strongly agree that he's coming back, but for slightly different reasons. I think some of the folks holding the old Elon meme coins, I see one in the chat. I'm sorry. I think you're going to be a little angry at Elon when he comes back, because we now have, again, the utility in the market. And when you think of that, there's no better person, no better visionary to push that than one Elon Musk. He's literally Mr. AI. He's got the Optimus bots now. When you bring in the use case of digital wallets, Elon is right there. It's almost like he's been building for this moment. So when he comes back, I think he's gonna have a lot more to say than meme coins. But that being said, he's still the face of Dogecoin.
Oh, that's an interesting take, because he's only really mentioned Dogecoin and Bitcoin. That's it. And he's very specific on how he talks about stuff. But does anybody else have a pretty wild take
to support that? Yeah. That was interesting what Shook said there. X money, right? You got the whole X money play, right?
That's literally what I was about to
we
say.
all got them ads. Yeah.
So guys back for real, right? So X Money, if you guys don't know, is backed by Cross River Bank, and Cross River Bank, me and Max have done some shows on that. Cross River Bank is the bank of XRP.
I just need to throw this in there. So to solidify what Rue was stating, I literally put out a really extensive deep dive yesterday on this topic. So for one, X Money has made a declaration, basically speaking, stating that X Money is just strictly for the fiat rails, no ties to blockchain or DLT. And when people see that on surface value, they'd be like, well, great. All that research that all the crypto bros did, absolutely invalidated. However, I think they put that disclaimer out in the fine print on the X Money website to kind of protect themselves from what? All the lack of clarity that's going on right now. When I investigated it further, again, back to what Rue was talking about with Cross River, I analyzed some of those things. And then when you go over to Cross River's site, specifically speaking, you see tons of integration with what? Your blockchain and DLT rails. You have your Solanas. We know about, obviously, Ripple dating back to 2014. And I looked into 2026 and I said to myself, is there something still there? Apparently there is. Again, I shared with you guys, I think on the last particular, or maybe 2 weeks back, about Corda 2026, right? Corda's supposed to go live. So when we talk about your Solanas and whatnot, I think people are sleeping even on that because there's a lot of overlap, a lot of integrations. And one thing that was mentioned a while back from both Solana and even the X Money development team was this thing called cash tags. Literally, that's what it's called, right? So you had verification of Solana with that, and you had verification from the X side. One more key thing, and I'll kick back to you guys. Quant Network, believe it or not, we have proof of integration. We see it in the orchestration stack, and 2 instances from Gilbert Verdian having conversations with Elon Musk. And 2019 was the first time. The second time was a follow-up. So these guys communicate, I think, with clarity. You start seeing somebody like Musk, X Money, saying, hey, you know what? We do have this thing integrated. But currently speaking, at surface value or face value, they got to say nope, because they don't want to get attacked any much more than the next guy.
All right. We got any other? Millie, it looked like you had something. Are you good?
Well, I just look at it at the crypto sits directly in that cross section between the advancements of AI. So when you think about machine to machine transactions and how it will transact, he cannot dodge that. You think about the decentralized perspectives of just spatial data or choke points like water rights. What happens when you run into that choke point from a physical perspective, which is water rights? You will need an alternative to compute. So all these avenues and cross sections lead right back to crypto in some way. So I do see him interacting with cryptocurrency at some point.
All right, Dave, you want to get a quick take, or are you good?
Sure, just real quick. He's been a hodler for a long time. And he's got a bunch of Muskisms, right? Like he's got these little sayings. One of them is something like the most ironic outcome is the most likely. So when he says that Dogecoin is going to rule the world or whatever he said, I think that, I tend to agree about clarity. So I think that once they know what is really legal in the United States, then maybe you see digital assets get integrated into X payments. It wouldn't surprise me to see Musk take a bigger position in digital assets moving forward. I'm bullish on Musk. I like the visionary aspect too.
Yeah, if Dogecoin is illegal, we march at dawn, because these meme coins, we need to make sure they survive. All right, let's check out what the
one thing, if I can.
Yeah. Okay.
And shout out to Millie. You made me think of this. The machine-to-machine payments. You can track Cross River also to Visa, and Visa you can track to Stripe, and both of those members are members of the X402 Foundation, and X402 was built specifically for machine-to-machine, agent-to-agent, agent-to-robot payments. And you got the Optimus bot, which I think Shook mentioned earlier. So yeah, it's on like popcorn when we get all of these robots out here, and you can have those robots communicating to Bluetooth and automated cars. He's here.
Yeah, so the community thinks we're going to be powering up robots with Dogecoin. 75% of you said that Elon Musk, he's going to make his return, and I think we're right. So we'll see. All right, this question, the most subjective question coming at you. We will see who says what, but you're giving you're giving $1,500 for free. $1,500. What if on Robinhood is better than putting that $1,500 into Bitcoin? Millie, what you got?
I'm chucking it straight in the meme. Full port in the whole 15. Let's go. I strongly agree.
All right, David.
Yeah, I'm going with BTC. 100% BTC.
Disagree or strongly disagree?
Oh yeah, no, strongly disagree on if. I'm going with the Bitcoin, not with the meme coin.
Yeah. Okay, my bad. I could have questioned that a lot better. So Shook Focus, what you got?
Yeah, disagree.
Disagree. All right, Max.
This is new question number 7, correct?
Yeah, it'll be $1,500 in what if is better than $1,500 in Bitcoin.
Okay, just making sure the question because I didn't see special on screen. So yeah, I'm going to strongly disagree.
Alrighty, and then Aru, what you got?
It's a tough question as worded, but I'll just disagree.
All right, so we got a three-way. We got 3-person feud. We got Millie. You got to defend yourself. They're finna. Hey, they're just.
I'm not mad at it, man.
They're ready to jump you. You got to show out.
Look. If we're specifically talking about Robinhood chain, man, it's liquid. You got the founder behind it. This is one of the strongest communities that I've personally seen since the Pepe's, the Sheem, as far as like organic, because I'm in that space of being a key opinion leader. So I know what projects are talking to people with, who they're trying to, solicit and things of that sort. This has been like straight grassroots. I got into the project at 100K, by the way. So you know what I mean? When I say that, I say community tokens don't have a cap to valuations, right? You don't look for team, you don't look for revenue, you don't look for any of that. It's just purely vibes, network effects, and growth. And the one thing that I've personally been noticing about it is the holder count is growing. The Telegram chats, as far as live Telegram chats, are now went from 50 to 100 of people, just growing each day, and they're only talking about if. So as far as potential, yeah, it would be, I use Bitcoin for a savings account. It's like a savings account on steroids for me. But when things get boring, as long as you practice risk management, meaning that you have a consistent capital, consistent income, right? Not financial advice. There will be opportunities on chain. And you can use these opportunities to take profits and compound them into your Bitcoin, into your utility play. So it doesn't have to be this impulsive tribalism. It could just be a short-term play, a move that allows you to gain capital to invest into your utilities or use cases. So for me, I think there's opportunity there, specifically on Robinhood chain. And when these chains are early, because this is not Sui, this is not Say, this is not Aptos, this is like Robinhood, okay? Robinhood, their TXs are setting records when compared to Solana and Coinbase. So that activity alone will onboard new people. It's retail friendly. The UX, the UI feels like I'm using Robinhood. So alone, you got Bitcoin is boring right now. You got if it just went from 100K to 16 million. People want to be a part of a feel good story. What's the story for Bitcoin right now?
I'm trying to be part of a free dinner, and you just made a ton of money. So, hey, you got dinner tonight. All right. So Max, you go ahead and take this away. Why are you taking the Bitcoin over the what if?
So in reality, this question is a catch-22. Okay. I completely, yeah, exactly. I completely agree with the statements from Millie. And by the way, Millie, absolutely awesome having you here, brother. So I want to state this, that there's so much to unpack here, but like, even when we compare it with my story, I came into like Dogecoin. I came into Dogecoin where? On Robinhood. Just as Millie pointed out, it came in at a penny. Well, looking at it from an X perspective, like a multiplier, I did about 71 to 72X. Didn't listen to everybody else out there saying it's going to go to $1. Got out roughly at that particular price. And you know what? It's been legendary. With that also said, yes, I recognize what Millie states. At the same time, the reason why I'm stating it's a double-edged sword or catch-22 with the question, right, is because we know that if no bash on it, speculative meme coin. Yeah, it's on Robinhood, so that's a little bit different. We got to treat it a little bit different, but currently speaking, on the bigger picture, tiny liquidity from what I gathered. And again, the risk. So if you compare it long term to BTC, well, then that's superior. And again, the proven long term quote unquote store value. And I know a lot of people are going to get ticked off with me stating that because a lot of people hate BTC. It is what it is. But yeah, it's really it's a catch-22 question.
All right. David, you want to add anything to that? Why Bitcoin over the hot meme coin? People are starting to see on the Twitterverse. What you got, David?
Yeah, man. So look, Millie's not wrong. In fact, he made some great points. Like the only problem is, on the risk management point, most people don't know what the hell that means. So most people are going to full port into a meme coin and then watch it dump, and then you're stuck, eating like a 50% loss or more.
Dave, this question is, does Dave put $1,500 into what if or Bitcoin? You're not most people.
Oh, man.
Dave, you look kind of dejed, Dave. You look kind of dejed, bro. If I know a dejed, I know one, man.
I've done it. It's just like, man, look, if I'm taking $1,500 right now, I'm not putting it into a $15 million market cap meme coin with 500K liquidity. I'm putting that $1,500 into BTC, holding it for 3 years, and hopefully exiting with a 4-bagger or a 5-bagger. That's what I'm going to do.
I love the takes. All right, let's go ahead and reset, Rob. Let's go ahead and check out the chat while we're at it as well. So $1,500 into what on what if on Robinhood? There's a lot of different what ifs out there. Make sure, we're talking about the Robinhood one, the legit one. And it's better than $1,500 in Bitcoin. This one's actually disagree quite a bit. This is about 70% actually think disagree. So Bitcoiners, we got some Bitcoiners in the house, and that makes sense. But I think a lot of that could have been, I could have clarified on how long. So maybe I said for 6 months. That probably would have changed quite a bit of the answer.
That's why I said it's a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22 with that question, brother.
Right. The thing is, if I add the questions too long at the bottom, it just starts pushing up and starts covering people. So I try to keep it to where I add context on the show.
I respect that. Yeah.
Oh, you're all good. You're all good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're loving it. Look, we got to get into this next question. But first, make sure you subscribe to all of us. Link in the description down below. We got number 8, the Clarity Act. We love it. It's the single biggest catalyst for the market. What would you say, Millie?
Like the big disagree. Not the biggest. No, the biggest.
All right. What you got, David?
Oh, dude, I strongly disagree here.
Okay. That's interesting. All right, focus.
This is a tough one, but I disagree.
Okay. Max.
Oh man, this is another one catch-22. All right, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go with strongly agree. I just changed my question or my answer. I'm gonna go strongly agree. I'm gonna take all the smoke.
Yeah, he wants all that smoke. Let's go, Rue. What you got?
Strongly disagree.
All right. So we got 2 strongly disagrees. We got David. We got Rue, and they're gonna try to jump Max. So if you can get the gulag going up here, let's get it. All right.
Calling Vault crime. This is not good.
Yeah, this is Max. He got it out for you on this one. What you got, Max?
Oh, that's a funny remark from our Coin Vault brother, Rue, right? Yeah, guys. So, I realize the criticism, right? At face value, people are going to be like, I disagree with all that because regulatory clarity would help. But, when we talk about macro, again, earlier, some of the earlier questions like the ETFs, the treasury flows, you got to reference that. Like broader adoption, people always point that out. Like, those remain the larger drivers, and rightfully so. You would be right? Well, people say, well, it's not the single biggest thing, right? Again, when I see people, one person, Senator Lummis, literally just saying, we got to get this Clarity Act thing going, reaching across party lines, stating, look, we really, really need this. We need cooperation. It's not about her. It's not about one party. I'm looking at it from a perspective. Again, you guys know I do a lot of deep dive research. I look at those white papers, and I understand that it's one thing to have opinions, but when I see literally in institutional white papers that literally state that you need real clarity moving forward for even somebody, when we talk about some of these alts, and I know some of you guys don't like some of these alts, like our XRPs, that central banks, commercial banks, and whatnot, they can't hold it on their balance sheet, but one of the biggest driving forces for them to hold it is to see real clarity, because things will change. I say to myself, what is Ripple's main product? On-demand liquidity. Right now, it doesn't look like it's in too much demand, right? But everything changes with that clarity. When we talk about utility, that changes. So to me, I have to strongly disagree, but at the same time, I see the point that people make when it comes to the macro side of it, right? That, you know, the liquidity in that, and again, the treasury flows. We can talk till we're blue in the face about it. I understand both points of view on that.
All right, let's go with David first on why the Clarity Act is not the biggest catalyst currently in the market for crypto.
Yeah, so I mean, if I want to just keep it super simple, it's because everyone thinks it's going to be a big catalyst. What happened with the Genius Act? Hey, people were saying, oh, we get Genius Act, we'll go to Valhalla. Nothing happened there. Number did not go up. And so I don't think that what's good for institutions is good for retail. So, the language that we've seen in the Genius Act tells me that, hey, they want to keep all that yield for themselves. By law, that Genius Act, tether and circle these payment stablecoin providers. They can't pass along that treasury yield to the holders of USDC and USDT. And so whenever I see a big banking cartel saying, hey, we've got to get this Clarity Act passed, dude, that's not good for us. It's not going to be good for us. So I'm a builder. I build in Web3 and in crypto. And if I suddenly have to raise 7 figures to hire attorneys to take care of compliance before I can launch a product for US American customers, then I'm going to build somewhere else. I think that Clarity is going to have the effect, if it ever passes, which is dubious. I think it's going to have the effect, if it passes, of pushing innovation to Southeast Asia and to Latin America. I think that's where a builder, an innovator with a laptop and an idea is going to move to, because you're not going to be able to do it legally in the United States anymore. I think that they're going to essentially lock out all the individual builders. It's going to be great for the big companies that have a lot of money to hire attorneys, not for the little guy. I think it'll be net negative for us.
I'll add a little clarity to this, pun intended. We have about a 28% probability currently with the very low amount of liquidity on Polymarket for it passing this year alone. So it's going to be tough, but we will see. Now that thing is flipped like a light switch. But Rue, I want to hear your take on why the Clarity Act isn't the biggest.
It isn't the biggest because a little bit different reasons than others. Genius doesn't go into full effect until January 18th, 2027. So I think that's also a very, very big catalyst. Now, I'm not a builder in the space, but I definitely do think once Clarity is passed, a lot of money will come into the biggest pool of money, which is the U.S. stock market, right? I think they're waiting until Clarity is passed to do some things there. So I guess for me, it's both the finishing or the completion of the Genius Act and Clarity.
All right, let's go ahead and reset and see what the polls are looking like. So it's about 65% disagree. That being said, the Clarity Act is the single biggest. 65% of you say no, it's not. I would definitely let's see it like a show of hands. Do you think October, is that the biggest catalyst for the market to flip around? Is there anybody that thinks October is? Okay, we got 2. There you go. So Shook Focus, what do you think the single biggest catalyst for the market is?
So I get twisted between, is it the Clarity or is it what comes behind the Clarity? Clarity could very easily be a sell the news event, like many of the other, he mentioned Genius, like many of the other passing of these acts. It could very well be a selling of the news event. But what's coming behind it is the stablecoin adoption rule and the stablecoin adoption actuality, and that's what's really gonna drive more value into the space is the actual adoption of stablecoins, and that doesn't come 2 minutes after the Clarity Act passes. So it's an interesting one, but I believe stablecoin adoption, I think, is that catalyst. But I kind of separate it from the passing of the Clarity Act.
All right. So I brought up October because that's like the 1 year after the peak is the bottom. Usually like the second biggest, right, is a 70% pullback. Millie, like what is it? Is it not even the 70% pullback? What is the biggest thing that is going to flip this market?
I think it's rate expectations in oil coming to 70. The biggest catalyst is the Strait of Hormuz. That's oil. You feel me? We get oil down, everything changes. So for me, that's what I look at. I'm kind of looking at, you know, the bond market. You mentioned October, September. Well, now the Fed is trying to say, hey, we might want to raise rates. You get what I'm saying? So like, as far as the clarity and the genius, I don't think that's the catalyst. I think that's just permission, right? Like what Shook Focus was saying, like once we get that permission, these trustees, these vaults, right? They can now say, hey, I can help you make money with crypto. It's not like they don't want to. It's just like they don't know if they can. They don't know if they can't. They're just waiting on permission. So that can bring liquidity and capital in. But I think ultimately it's expansion, retail feeling like they got money again, right? When retail feels like they can save, they can invest. Right now, you ask the regular person is like, I'm just breaking even. Every time I get paid, I'm just breaking even. So once that sentiment changes, I think that's the catalyst. And then everything else is like a tsunami. It's just going to help us reach where we're trying to get to.
Yeah, that was a good down to earth take. Like in crypto, we live in this land of most of us have money that we can invest, but the typical American, they're struggling. So that was definitely a good take. Real quick, we have somebody else. Who needs Elon Musk when you have Elon Muff? He just dropped a super chat. Thank you, appreciate it, Elon Muff. Anybody from Coin Vault, y'all want to handle that one?
Yeah, so that's our good friend. Thank you for the $2 super chat. He said, who said he left crypto? I get that, right? Nobody really said he completely left it, right? But I think the question was originally, will Elon Musk return to crypto like he did in 2021, right? And again, what really stood out then, again, his mentioning consistently when it came to Doge. Yeah, he crashed Doge, literally go on SNL. And we know, the rest is history with that. But anyway, thank you for the $2 super chat. I would agree. He didn't leave crypto, but maybe he didn't talk about it as much. Boy, oh boy, did he get flustered, though, when he was asked by somebody from the Mega Base, your thoughts on XRP. And boy, I mean, I never seen him get so nervous. Like, oh, well, yeah, the use case. He was almost like Principal Vicker from BSB. He was like, oh, BSB, oh, XRP might be helpful. Like he's really like all freaking out, right? Anyway.
Yeah, good takes, Elon Muff. Appreciate that super chat. 2021 was way different than what he was last bull market. He knows how to use his platform. For example, OpenAI, Sam Altman, he was in the lead clearly with harvesting data with these LLMs. And then Elon Musk is like, let's go ahead and try to halt them 6 months. He was literally trying to freeze AI from continuing to progress. So if he's not in the league, he's going to figure it out. But I think this whole last bull market, he was just focused on the regulatory side, getting things prepared, and we will see it executed across these next 4 years. But something else that needs to be executed is question number 9. So the Bitcoin dominance will stay above 50%. So we have these alt seasons, typically Bitcoin pumps. Then we get these alt seasons. It takes away the Bitcoin dominance within bull markets. But the question is, it will stay above 50% for the entire bull market. Millie, do you think that will happen?
Strongly disagree.
All right. David?
I also strongly disagree.
All right. Focus.
Man, that's wild. I gotta strongly disagree.
All right, Max.
Yeah, I got to strongly disagree on that one too.
All right, and then Rue.
I'll disagree.
Disagree. All right, why just disagree, Rue? Is there a chance that Bitcoin hits escape velocity and it just tears, and then everything else can't
No,
keep up?
I
or-
actually think at some point in time, maybe altcoins get it down below 50. So, but I think that's going to be a hard go by 2029. Is that possible? I don't know, but yeah, that's why I'm only at disagree there.
Fair enough. Is anybody just like super convicted, like by next year it's going to be below 50%? Like alts are going to just head off. David, you're shaking your head. What you got?
Yeah, so I think that the moment that there's some type of crisis and the Fed is forced to cut rates and print, I think we're going to see alts just rip and leave Bitcoin in the dust. And, look, I mean, Bitcoin, for all intents and purposes right now, is a pet rock, man. Like, there really isn't a whole lot of utility in holding Bitcoin. Don't get me wrong. I love me some Bitcoin, okay? I think it's the only truly decentralized digital commodity. I think it's the only one. But the killer app is stablecoins. You got no stablecoins on Bitcoin. You got no smart contracts on Bitcoin. There's no DeFi on Bitcoin. So I think that the moment that we see really cheap money again, I think it flows into alts. And I think that by 2029, there's at least a period of time where there's some type of alt season, something. So yeah, I strongly disagree. I think that Bitcoin dominance is going to be below 50% at some point by now in 2029.
All right. Yeah. After the stream, I'll talk to you a little about Caspa, because I got to give my little shill. We got some decentralized networks in crypto, but who else thinks that by next year, Bitcoin's dominance is going to be less than 50%? The alts are going to send us out of this bear winter.
I agree. I think when the 2-year and the 30-year yield both in correlation break the 50-week and the 21-week, historically full port altcoin season, man. And it's just like what my guy just said, when that money becomes cheaper, like people want to take on more risk, right? Right now, it's like I could just put my money in Bitcoin or these bonds. Why risk it? But when that comes down, altcoin season is going to be crazy. And we live in a world of hyper gamification. If you just look around, everything is about, oh, I can make a prediction. I can make a prediction on this. I can make a prediction on that. Everybody wants to gamble. So 300 billion stable coins on the sidelines. Some of that may go into Bitcoin, but I think a lot of that is going to go into altcoins once we see the macro clear up.
Shook, you look like you're ready to just attack that answer. Why do you think the altcoins? Yeah,
we just got done debating what if versus Bitcoin. The fact that that's even a conversation, I think, tells us what's coming down the line. We talked about ETFs also, but now we have altcoin ETF filings going on left and right, and then the enablement of investment just growing. You got I Trust Capital is a lot bigger now than it was before. So you have all these different options for people. Robinhood Chain, you have all these different options for people to get into these different altcoins and ETFs. People are not going to buy into something that's already reached out of their price range for the average investor. So I definitely see Bitcoin losing quite a bit of dominance here.
Yeah, it paints me whenever I hear somebody say like Bitcoin's going to go up and altcoins aren't. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, people are at a minimum going to see Bitcoin on the news because it went up, and they're going to try to catch up. So they're going to buy Ethereum or XRP or whatever. So it just doesn't add up. If Bitcoin wins, everything else either slowly wins or it wins better. So, all right, but definitely a good take. Let's go ahead and check out what the poll has to say. Again, the question, if you're just now tuning in, Bitcoin dominance will stay above 50% through 2029. Most of you agree, actually quite a bit of you. So there's about 65% of you agree that Bitcoin dominance will stay above 50% through 2029. So this is the first time that we've had a poll that disagreed from everybody on the panel. So who's smarter, the panel or the polls? Maybe we got to get some of y'all in the polls up here and get them on the gulag cams. So, all right, but without further ado, we are on question number 10. If anybody wants to send it a super chat for question 11, you can do it now or forever hold your money. But question number 10 is crypto will pass $12 trillion market cap by 2029. 12 trillion. Amelia, what you got?
Maybe that's the bull case, but I damn, I can't just be neutral here. I disagree.
All right, David.
I strongly disagree with that one.
Yeah, I was debating 10 or 12. 10 seemed a little. All right, focus.
You're muted, brother.
Good. Y'all didn't get to hear me wince and whine. That's actually a tough one, man. Sitting at 2.3 trillion-ish right now. I agree.
All right, Max.
I'm kind of with Shook on that one. I'm not going to say strongly agree. I'm just going to say I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And Rue?
Yeah, if it was 10, I would strongly agree, but since it's 12, I'm just going to agree.
All right, so we got 3 agrees, a disagree, and a strongly disagree. So, like, you didn't even seem like entertained by that, David. Like, why? You know, it's just 12 trill.
I mean,
12 trill.
So what does that mean for the dollar? That must mean the dollar becomes toilet paper. You know, like, or there's like massive adoption.
It's already toilet paper.
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's also the world's reserve currency, right? So, and I'm a technical analyst by trade. So when I take a look at the chart of total, and I just grab a trend line and I take, you know, that 2018 high, 2017-ish high, if I use that as my anchor point, and then extend it to the next higher high in November 2021 and extend to the right. Well, I mean, that tells me that we go to like 6.25 trillion by 2029, not 12. So I hope we go to 12. That would be awesome. Like, I would love that. I just don't think it's likely. And I just don't see, you know, the federal government giving up the world reserve currency status. I think that's kind of sort of what might need to happen for it to go to 12 over the next couple of years. I don't see that. But a triple, I could definitely see that.
I think a way to look at this is like, we got to 4.3, and that's when Bitcoin was at like 126K. And of course, there's more stable coins and other cryptocurrencies, but that is still about a 3x, a little bit less than a 3x. Would Bitcoin 3x? And if it does, most likely altcoins would outperform. I don't know. Like, that's a pretty hefty Bitcoin price by from 126K to 3x by 2029. So I want to know why 3 of you agree. You know, you got Shook Focus. Let's go with you. Why do you agree that we're going to hit that 12 trill?
Actually, for one of the things that he called out, I think the dollar is toilet paper, and I think eventually we're going to find out just that. And I mean, we're talking about the cryptocurrency space as a whole, not just Bitcoin. So when we think about it, what did old boy from Chainlink tell us? Quadrillions. That's what's coming on chain, quadrillions. And that's not going to happen overnight. So I think it'll be a year by year build. And as we continue seeing more markets come in, we haven't even talked about, you know, ESG and that whole space and the tokenization movement that's going to come. So even outside of just stable coins and the Bitcoin clarity argument, we have literal tokenized assets going crazy right now. And that could easily, you know, 5x the market cap. So
before I go to Rue and Millie on this one, I want to know, Max, if I was to change this to like 10 trillion, like crypto will pass 10 trillion by 2029, would you have switched to agree? Or sorry, Millie, I asked that question. If we switched it to 10 trillion,
yeah,
would it? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I would have
somewhere in the ballpark of between 10
yeah.
and
So I guess the caveat here would be like every cycle has 3x the previous cycle, but this last cycle did it. So that already is kind of falling into the diminishing gains perspective. So that's kind of like what it is. 12 trillion. That's what was that, like a 5x? I don't know about that. Maybe 10 trillion, definitely more realistic, but we're already starting to see that number compress.
And I take it, Rue and Max, you guys both, you agree that we will pass that 12 trillion. Go ahead and expand on that.
Yeah, I'll just make it real brief. I mean, it's that continued institutional adoption, right? We've seen enough evidence to support that. So a full cycle, I have to say 10 to 12 trillion by when? 2029, 2030-ish. I know the question was 2029, so I'm sticking to my guns on that.
All right, Rue.
I think, yeah, again, if it was 10, I would say strongly agree. But since it's 12, I just agree. And here's the thing, AI agents and robots, I think once those enter the fray, like you could like double or triple the population of like humans, right? All of them possibly earning 24/7 without having to eat, sleep, whatever. Is 3x possible with that? Sure it is. Especially when you got also lowered fees. Now you can do micropayments, and micropayments are profitable. Yeah.
I mean, part of this next leg of society, it's not just LLMs, it is AI agents. So like these economies are literally about to be built that never even had a chance to survive. So it's like people are going to be creating beings that are trading 24/7 when we're sleeping. So it's going to be so interesting to see where we're headed by 2029. So you guys had some awesome takes. Okay.
I like that too. Is I think Millie mentioned it, where we have the whole gamification of the world and gambleification of the world. If you enter in something like Ripple, where you can do like sports betting from anywhere, as long as you have internet access, man, shut the door. Like that's just going to be money everywhere. People betting on everything from anywhere.
Sure. Yeah. So about 80% of the polls are saying, they agree with 4 of you. David, unfortunately, we're not able to win them over. Now, I would say the general consensus of a avid crypto content creator or viewer would be more bullish than the average creator, I would say. So most of them, people watching us, they actually probably think crypto is going to go a little higher than us. But some of us give pretty crazy price predictions. So maybe we can get a couple of the shock face, like 50x, DJing, people to come on the show and just have a little bit of fun with that one. But something else we can have fun with is, let's go ahead and jump this question number 11. Somebody dropped a super chat. So this one's going to be pretty fun. Nobody had time to prepare for this. We got Beast Mode. Thank you for the super chat. Question 11. Will an AI coin, i.e. Tau, or an RWA coin, i.e. Ondo, break into the top 5? Wow. Okay. Millie, maybe I know your answer. What you got, Millie?
Top 5. How are we answering this? Like agree strong, like
yeah, I mean, answer just like that. Do you strongly agree that an AI token like a Tau is going to break into the top 5? And
yeah, strongly agree. Agree.
There's no time. So 2030, 2050. So you say strong. Go ahead. Can you say it one more time, Millie? Sorry.
Oh, strongly agree.
Okay. David?
So for Tau, strongly agree. For Ondo, strongly disagree.
I like how you just had to do, I gotcha. Focus.
Yeah. Will an AI coin, i.e. Tau, I go with yes, an AI coin will break into the top 5. Will it be Tau? I don't know. Will Ondo break into the top 5? Is there a timeline on this?
No timeline.
I still disagree.
Okay, disagree on both. Max?
I'm actually with David on this one. I strongly agree with Tau. I'm not going to go with Ondo on that. I would say Ondo, if the question was top 10, then yeah, I would probably include some Ondo. So that's my answer. Strongly agree with Tau. Since there's no time limit, yeah, I see it doing it. Will it hold number 5 the whole time? That's not part of the question. So yeah, I'm gonna go strongly agree on Tau.
All right, Rue.
I strongly agree an AI coin will do the top 5, but it's neither one of those. It's near.
The AI agents. You're going with near intense, huh?
Indeed.
Yeah, near
indeed. Yes, sir.
Somebody wants to be that legend, and he might be that guy.
I honestly think the AI agents are going to be the biggest unknown. Like, I just don't know. So much can happen from that stuff. Just fabricated economies that
But
live
why do you think we
online.
cover X402 so much, right? Anyway.
Yeah. All right. So we got 4 people that strongly agree. We got 1 person that disagrees. Shook focus. The floor is yours, Shook.
So to clarify, will an AI coin, i.e. TAO, I think by IE we mean example. And I personally got Cubic over TAO, just throwing that out there.
Interesting.
And then or an RWA coin like Ondo break in as a top 5. With Ondo, my thing with Ondo is the tokenization that they're doing. It's maybe becoming a little diluted in terms of who can tokenize the tokenized stocks. There's a couple other players in there now. I don't know if that use case alone is enough to bring it into the top 5 just due to market share type stuff. But yeah, as far as the AI coin, I got until another AI platform comes out here introducing trinary computing and building an environment to grow AI. I'm not putting none of them over Cubic right now. The second coming of Bitcoin.
Man, you were shilling over here. All right, got some Cubic. I shilled Casper earlier, so everybody gets a little segment in there. It looked like I heard most people's take. Tau. If there's anything you learned from this, is it looks like a pretty solid project. You just heard all of our takes. If one token was to do it, it's not Ondo, it would be Tau. But let's go ahead and check. I don't know if a poll was ran on this one. No, it wasn't, but that's okay. That being said, Rob, you don't have to put the poll up. Let's go ahead and bring Rob in. I don't know how it's going to look. Maybe you can take my spot, Rob. Well, actually, I can't.
Actually, you can take my spot off. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So it's going to look a little weird, but we're all up here. So Rob, Crypto Verdict, that's the name of the show. You have to choose one person. They get their final thoughts. They get to bless the community with an outro. Everybody performed well, first of all.
I got some notes first.
Oh, you got some notes.
I got some notes first.
Go ahead and
notes this whole time. Okay?
Yeah, and first of all, appreciate you in everything you do. In the background, you are putting all this together. He's the one switching everything, putting super chats on screen. Rob's the guy. So what you got, Rob?
Okay. Note number 1. The low is not in. And I believe that us finding out later this year that the Clarity Act is not going to pass is going to be the catalyst that pushes us down around that 50K level. And I believe that is where we'll find our bottom. BTC top. So the Bitcoin topping early last cycle. I think that was an artificial pump due to the spot ETFs being approved. I don't think if we did not get those ETFs, I don't think it organically would have happened. Nevertheless, I would say that the 4-year cycle, in my opinion, is still intact. And I think that the nuance inside the 4-year cycle changes in terms of Bitcoin when Bitcoin hits a new all-time high and stuff like that. But as long as it continues to top right around the same range where it's supposed to, 4-year cycle is still intact.
Okay, real quick, Rob. I want to hear your take on this because, so you just said with the Clarity Act, right? Most likely it could be a buy the rumor, sell the news event, but we got to a new all-time high very quickly because of ETFs. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't think there's a lot of people with a ton of money just waiting for October to just dump in, and you don't think that's going to make up for like a just parabolic Q4, maybe Q1, Q2, like into a new all-time high?
I never said that I think that the finding out the Clarity Act was going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news, because that would imply that the prices would have to start running up first, right? I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that we're just going to find out, you know what, this can's getting kicked down the road. It's not going to pass in 2026. They're going to have to reshuffle the deck and come back at us with a different version of the Clarity Act because it's not going to happen this year. And I believe the market's just going to dump as a response.
Okay. If you want to continue with the verdict.
Yes. 4-year cycle, got into that.
Got looking like a lawyer. Look.
Yeah, I got this. I got this locked down, man. In terms of
Yeah.
In terms of revenue being the primary aspect of a project, I got to go with utility on that one. I got to go with utility, not revenue. Revenue is important. In a bear market, you want to make sure whatever company or project you're investing in is still generating revenue when you're in the bottom of like right now. But outside of that, as far as Elon Musk, be careful what you wish for. He can very easily, as we saw in 2021, have a derogatory effect on the market, not just a positive one, right? When he talked about the energy consumption of mining Bitcoin, man, markets did not respond well to that in 2021. So, and I remember, just on a side note, Shiba Inu, people were harassing him to mention Shiba Inu on X, and then he actually fudded it in the project dump. So again, be careful what you ask for. But I don't think he's going to talk about crypto as aggressively as he did in 2021, simply because while he is a maverick when it comes to the government, I think he sees how much attention right now Congress is putting on crypto and regulations and stuff. And I don't think he's going to start shilling meme coins and stuff like that in the middle of all of this scrutiny with the government. I just think it's a problem he doesn't want, right? So, because, Elizabeth Warren, first thing she'd do is bring it up, right? So, I talked about the Clarity Act, or the biggest catalyst is not the Clarity Act, in my opinion. Even if it did pass, I believe that liquidity coming into the markets is the biggest catalyst. I think that when Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana start to run, you're going to see the average retail investor who left start pouring back in, and the snowball effect takes place again. And then Bitcoin dominance, so my final note is it will not stay above 50%. I believe that the running narrative for altcoin season going into this cycle is going to be most YouTubers saying that there's not going to be one, because they'll compare 2025 and they'll say, well, look what happened. We're not going to have another altcoin season. And it's going to take everybody by surprise, and we're going to probably have a bigger altcoin season than we did in 2025 cycle.
Fair
it's always
enough.
the opposite of what people, what the popular narrative is. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Rob, you have to choose one person, that they're doing the debates, they're giving good takes. This one person, they're going to get the outro to be able to carry us off. Who is going to win the verdict of this episode?
I got to go with David on this one. I felt like he dominated.
Yeah, well,
thank you, Rob.
I mean, this is David's first time on. Floor is yours, David.
Oh, man. Hey, we're all going to make it, you guys. And everyone watching, we're going to make it. We're all going to succeed. As of right now, it's still the Bitcoin bear market. And so, unfortunately, that means that we probably have another 8 weeks of bear market. But you got to use that as a buying opportunity, man. You got to have some fiat on the sidelines ready to deploy into these digital assets. Build yourself a shopping list. That's what I've done. You got to get ready to buy, because by the time it's Q4, those lows should be in. And all of these different catalysts that we talk about, man, well, no one's got a crystal ball. But what we do know for sure is that this technology is going to get adopted, not just by institutions, but we're going to start using this stuff every single day, maybe without realizing it. So whether you're buying Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or, heaven forbid, XRP, okay, I'll give XRP guys their due. If you're going to buy any digital asset, man, I think that you're going to perform extremely well. And you've got no choice, because your alternative is to hold dollars. And what are you going to do with dollars, man? They're inflating away. You have to deploy that cash into digital assets. I would be sitting right there buying Bitcoin, ETH, Sol. I would buy maybe some Tron, some Canton, some BitTensor Tau. Not quite convinced about Hype or BNB, simply because I think there's a lot of regulatory risk here. But you guys, we're going to make it. This is going to be, I think, the next bull cycle, the very biggest cycle in crypto's history. And a lot of you guys were talking about 12 trillion for total market cap. Man, I hope that we get to a $12 trillion market cap by 2029, by 2030. You know what that would mean for BTC? You know what that would mean for all of these other digital assets? That would mean that we just rip and run. But there's no way that you can take advantage of that opportunity if you're not willing to buy the red candles. You got to buy the blood in the streets, man. And we're about to get there. We're really, really close, almost there. So I'm getting ready to DCA in. I got a bunch of cash sitting on the sidelines. I'm actually short right now, and I'm waiting for this Bank of Japan decision. But hey, I am bullish as can be. This is the future. And I live on this stuff. I live in the EVM chain ecosystem. So I'm just looking forward to seeing much, much more adoption. I think the clarity eventually will get passed. It'll probably end up being bullish at some point in time, simply because if institutions know it's legal, they'll be able to deploy massive capital into this space. I don't think that that's going to be bullish for individual builders, but it'll be bullish for the big guys. And I think that that will trickle down to us at some point. I think that you got to be willing to buy the red candles. And hey, you know what? There's also some value in speculation. So what Millie was saying about, you know, taking a look at some of these meme coins, there's value in that. You should have a portion of your portfolio dedicated to the really high-flying lottery ticket type gambling plays. You should have an allocation to that, I think. I certainly will. It'll probably be something like Doge, though, you know, one of the larger meme coins. I'm not necessarily looking for like, you know, 1,000 bagger or something like that. Would it be great? Of course. But we're all going to make it, man. You got to be ready to buy, though. Have that cash in stables on the sidelines, ready to rock and roll by October, by Q4. And I think that we're all going to do really, really well together. So thank you, Crux and everyone. Thanks for having me on, man. This has been a lot of fun. I really do appreciate all you guys. And I just want to be able to continue to bring value for everyone who consumes our content, everyone who is part of our various communities, man. And we're going to win together. But it all comes down to education. You've got to be willing to educate yourself on all these different projects. How badly do you want it? If you want it, you got to go out and get the knowledge, man. So Crux, that's all I got, brother. And appreciate all you guys for watching this.
All right. The cheap shot at XRP, gotta love it. That means David, you gotta come back on. You gotta hold your spot because we got some XRP army on this panel.
I know
they're out for blood. So definitely extend, you know, this to somebody else. You know, thank you for joining us for your first time, Millie. You know, this is all about YouTube. It's about content creators, and then Rob's just like sitting right over it, but it is decentralized and it is a nonprofit. And what better way to educate the masses? So let's continue to spread this word out. You know, if you're watching right now, make sure you subscribe to all of us, share this out to just one person. And that's how we win, just one person at a time. So with that being said, you guys be blessed. Peace.
God bless.